So a topic usually comes up is women and diversity in sales, and my comment usually is you kind of the population is what it is now that's there, but it's almost like there should be a much more concerted effort by the industry and by companies to go back into the university ranks and even maybe even some high schools just to educate and say, here's sales. It can be a great career. It's not male centric. Females most of the time are better than males, et cetera, et cetera. Any thoughts or perspectives there?
Yeah, no. So I completely agree. In fact, I pushed my daughter into sales. She actually, I think she worked for HP. That was her first job, and they were hiring. And Randy, it was your team. And I said to her, hey, they're hiring. You should go apply. Because at the time, it was not like, it was like 2010 and things weren't so great for, graduates. And she got an offer and she went and worked in Arkansas. Do you remember that?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and she loved it. She got trained and she was actually very successful, and she continues in sales today, and she's very good at it. So, and my niece is in sales, and they both came out of HP and the training program that HP gave them. So I really think that sales is a wonderful career for women. It's tremendous. I mean, look at Sue Barsamian, right? She's a fabulous sales leader, and it requires you to, connect. It requires learning, but it also requires relationship building, which I think women are great at. So I think it's a phenomenal opportunity, and it is. I think you're right. Companies should absolutely reach in to colleges to begin internship programs for young women and young men, frankly, who are interested in sales, because they don't really think about it for some reason, and yet it's there for them.
Yeah, totally. So just to digress back, so Donna, I was rudely looking at my text. I had a few things. One was from Donatelli. So he says, I would not have stopped Bethany from getting an MBA. So we can both call BS on that, right? Nicer, calmer self, before her hair was on fire.
Well, I have to say this about Dave Donatelli. Dave Donatelli gave me the most wonderful gift of any leader, and that was the opportunity to run a business. And nobody ever did that for me but Dave. I mean, it was phenomenal. And I can't thank him enough, because I mean, honestly, I remember people going, what do you mean the marketing lady's going to run networking? Come on. But my background was product management, engineering, manufacturing. So it actually, I mean, nobody but Dave knew that, right? Because he interviewed me for my first job at HP. But he actually, he said, here, you run it. We're going to look around for replacement. I said, okay, sure. But his comment was, you kind of ran circles around what we saw out there. So why don't you go ahead and do it? So he's the wonderful sponsor, and I cannot thank him enough. So yeah, maybe, he loved to work hard. We all worked hard, but I think we did something good at HP. I really do.
Yeah. And I echo your comments on Dave for sure. Gave me a great opportunity. He was very supportive. And, at the time it was obviously interesting environment with the marketing conditions. And we had to think, we had Mark and then Leo and then Meg. So, always it's new and interesting dynamics, but end of the day, all fantastic people and fantastic culture for sure. So Dave, I think you're obviously watching. So I know you just got on LinkedIn, which Bethany told me about. So we'll see if you can really impress us and chime in here with any comment or question. We're both going to fall off our chairs if that happens. But anyway, Tucker, we have a question from Kristen Carey, who asks, Bethany, at what point in your career did you know that you wanted to serve on a board, and how did you go about finding the right company?
That's a really good question. I started thinking about serving on a board when I was an SVP at HP, and actually back to Dave was supportive of me doing that, and so was Meg. Actually, Meg wrote me a really wonderful letter, like a reference letter at the time. But in those days, unless you were a female CEO, it was very hard for women to get on boards. And so what happened was I then went on to be the CEO of Ixia, and that's obviously unusual. A woman, female running a public company that was technical, that's not common. And at that point, boards got interested. So I had several different opportunities come up on boards, and I chose Sempra. That's Sempra Energy. I've been on that board since I was a CEO of Ixia. And what I really found interesting about Sempra was I'm a technology person. They actually have a lot of technology within Sempra because of what they do, but it's a different industry. And so I really wanted to learn about a different industry. I wanted to learn how they operate, how their processes were, what they strategized around. And I have to say it was a really good choice because I've learned so much. I'm chair of the Safety, Sustainability, and Technology Committee for Sempra, and it's a wonderful company. So, I think some of it was things came to me, but it took a while. And my advice to you, though, I'll tell you, if you're interested in being on a board, is you need to network. You need to tell people that you want to be on a board, because if you don't tell anyone, no one will know. And there will be someone, and they may be 3 or 4 or 5, kind of people away from you who that piques their interest about you. You'll be surprised. And so the other thing I would say is get board educated. So there are lots of board education programs. And so my advice is go get educated around it. Santa Clara University has a very good one, especially for women. And then the last thing I would say is go look at the NACD. That's a lot of board information there that you could take advantage of. So there's some thoughts.
Great thought. And Kristen, just to clarify, so NACD is National Association of Corporate Directors. I'm part of it. It's easy to get on. And then a program I went to was at actually Stanford Law School, board of director program. But if I remember, I think Stanford, University of Chicago, Harvard, NYU, I think are kind of the main kind of 5 or 6 for those board programs. And, this day and age too, I would imagine you could probably ask your company to help you pay for it as well, because certainly it's not just relative to board, but just, kind of leadership and management in general. So great question there. And then also from Italian for you, if it helps, Kristen. So Bethany, I don't know if you remember Jazz Sood. So she was finance and ops at the time at HP. Now she's running enterprise sales at Palo Alto Networks. So she and I are on the board of a company, Ondas Network. So I think, more and more the bars kind of moved down, and, obviously you being a CEO at the time, but I think a lot of companies are certainly looking for diverse candidates, and you don't have to be CEO. So Kristen.
No, they're not. Actually, they're looking for some specialization. Like there's folks who are looking for CMOs, CHROs, sales leaders, all these different financial leaders.
Right.
You don't have to be a CEO anymore or run a P&L. You have to be a senior leader. You have to be an executive. But you don't have to necessarily have been a CEO. So things have changed very dramatically over the years now. Yeah. Which makes sense. Yeah, makes sense.